Hi folks, welcome to the Inside Track Royal Ascot special. We've got Jim Delahunt here, not wearing his top hat. Jim, what's going on? I thought you'd be top hatted in tails for this.
Yeah,
Looking forward to the week, and you just give us a wee going update before we start.
yeah, the top hat's in the cupboard, Robert. I'll just be taking it all in TV this week and then racing it here on Saturday, watching it on the big screen. So, looking forward to a fantastic week. And the going report from Ascot this morning, just before we come on to record this, good to firm, and it's not going to get soft this week at all. The weather forecast is fantastic from a crowd point of view, but I'm sure there've been a few trainers over the weekend hoping for some showers, but it doesn't look as if they're going to get any. And I think we're talking about a real 5 days of fast ground action at Ascot this week. So bear that in mind as we're going forward.
Yeah, well, we'll start off with the main event tomorrow. It's at St James's Palace, and I believe you're going to put your nap up in that.
Yeah, and it might surprise some people because I'm going to nap Henri Matisse. Just a bit of background here. We've got the three main Guineas winners. We've got the Newmarket Guineas winner, Ruling Court. We've got the Irish Guineas winner, Field of Gold, which also really should have been the Newmarket Guineas winner as well. And we also have Henri Matisse. Now, he was meant to go to Newmarket, but they decided to switch him to France, to Longchamp for the French 2000 Guineas. And that proved a successful move. Of course, one of the Coolmore Syndicate horses. They tried to cover all bases. That's a French 2000 Guineas in the bag with that horse. He was already a Breeders' Cup winner. So a very, very high class 2-year-old. He's taken it forward into his 3-year-old days. He's got a classic under his belt. Remember, this horse has won round turns right-handed and left-handed, both in America and also in France. He's used to going round that bend, which Field of Gold won't be, remember. And I think that Henri Matisse, how far back he came from at Longchamp, I thought was absolutely fantastic. And I think on the fast ground at Ascot, Ryan Moore against Colin Keane on Field of Gold, I think Moore might come out on top here. So that's going to be the nap in the Scottish Sun on Tuesday. Henri Matisse, what about you?
Well, I've nailed my colours to the mast with Field of Gold a few days ago. I mean, not my kind of price. I won't be getting involved at odds on. The one that's interesting is Ruling Court because it's never really
Yeah.
been cleared up why that didn't run at Epsom, is it? It was pulled out because of the going, but it was actually pulled out before the rain started. So it's a bit strange that, I mean, that one could, obviously was a 2000 Guineas winner. We both thought after that race that
Yep,
Field of Gold was a winner beat due to the ride.
we did.
Newland Court's one that might come good on the day, but I just can't see it past Field of Gold to be perfectly honest.
That's fair enough. I'll just have one word on Ruling Court. He was trained for the Derby. He was trained for a mile and a half. And within a fortnight, they're dropping him back to a Group 1 over a mile. I'm just not convinced that's feasible. So very much Henri Matisse for me. I think it's a two-horse race. We're head to head here.
Yeah, I just found it very strange that the whole thing with it being withdrawn so early in the derby when
Yeah.
the rain didn't actually come. I thought that was bizarre. It's never been properly explained, has it?
No, you're absolutely right. And if he goes and wins 2 lengths tomorrow, we'll know exactly what was going on.
Well, but as I say, I just can't see past Field of Gold. I think Colin Keane knows how to ride him, and I just think good luck to you with Henry Matisse. I won't be having a bet in the race because Field of Gold's no my price, so I can give you your one a cheer. So we start off with the Queen Anne, which is going to be the Lockings form is
Yeah.
the race that's going to be on display here. You fancy Dancing Gemini? We've got Rosalia, notable speech in there. What's your case for Dancing Gemini?
Yeah, Dancing Gemini was ridden by Moore in the Lockinge, of course, and I actually thought he came there to win his race. He was outrun by the lead artist, which of course was ridden by Oisin Murphy at Newbury, and he's now going to be ridden by Colin Keane, one of these first big jobs for Judd Monty, and of course he's had a fantastic start. There's absolutely no debate about that. So I think the Dancing Gemini can reverse the form with lead artist. Now, Kieran Schumark has been given the mount on Dancing Gemini, which I did find surprising the way Roger Teal was talking after he won that big handicap at York on Saturday. I thought it might have been Ross Ryan, but it is Kieran Schumark. They've taken a conscious decision to put him back on board, and that pulls up all sorts of interesting potential storylines after the race, doesn't it? If he goes and beats lead artist in the Judd Monty colours that he was dumped off unceremoniously just a few weeks ago. So Dancing Gemini, I think, will be suited by the ground. I think he'll be suited by the round course. and I think Shoemark will have something to prove. So Dancing Gemini for me, but I fully understand the cases for Rosalian, which of course was just behind the big two at Newbury, and Richard Hannon thinks it will come on a ton. And also notable speech for Charlie Appleby. So it's a fascinating race to get us underway. And just remember at this point, might as well say this now, it's a 5-day marathon. So let's not get too involved on day one. Let's not get too involved in race one. But I'll be having a small amount on Dancing Gemini.
Yeah, and then the Coventry, the first 2-year-old race of the week. I've not got anything in this. I mean, you have to remember you've had 80 to 1 winners, 150 to 1 winners
Yeah.
in the last 5 years. So it's a race you shouldn't be scared of taking a huge price if you fancy one. But have you got anything you fancy in this?
Yeah, I've got one I fancy, and it should be an each way price, Robert. It's a horse called Underwriter. Now, strictly speaking, it is the second string for Wathnan Racing because James McDonald rides, because James Doyle rides their other one, Postmodern, which won a maiden at Yarmouth first time out. Now, Underwriter won a maiden at Ayr, and James Doyle did come up to ride it that day. So he has ridden both of these. He's picked Postmodern, but James McDonald, the Australian champion, is no handicap in these big races. I'm quite happy to have him on board. And it's just worth pointing out the Ayr form here because Underwriter won that maiden at Ayr in the last 2 years. Archie Watson, who trains Underwriter, has won maidens at Ayr with horses which have both gone on to finish second in this very race. One beating a neck, one beating a nose. Surely it's his turn to be third time lucky. And Underwriter really impressed me that day at Ayr. Might not have impressed James Doyle as much because he switched. But as I say, James McDonald, no problem. He's got a good record at Royal Ascot as well. And he'll do for me each way because it should be about 10 to 1.
I think it's 12 to 1, Jim. I just looked before we came on there. So it's a
Even better.
nice each way price. And then we move on to the King Charles III stakes, which used to be called the King's Stand for the 5 furlong sprinters, where we've talked about American Affair numerous times.
Yeah.
I think he's a Group 1 horse in waiting. We're going to find out tomorrow, aren't we? He's a big price.
He's a huge price, but getting shorter. A few people are having their little nibbles each way. I don't think we'll get much of the 25 to 1. I think there'll be plenty of money for that overnight and during the day. American Affair should be suited by the quick ground down there. We've said before, as you say, as you alluded to, Robert, that Jim Goldie's record when he goes to Ascot and Goodwood is absolutely fantastic. He's been planning this Group 1 raid on Ascot for quite a while. I spoke to him at Hamilton Park yesterday. He had a double there on the Sky Bet Sunday Series card. His horses are in tremendous form, as they always are at this time of the year. Paul Mulrennan, I don't think he can hold this up too far in a race of this quality. So I think he'll let it roll and then just try and find the gaps late on and come through and win. He's drawn well enough that he can decide where he wants to go. He's got some really class acts to get in front of here, and that's why he's an each way bet. But I do think he's a solid each way bet. I think he'll go very, very close if he doesn't win American Affair. I think he is still underrated. He's a 5-year-old now, but Jim and Paul both still say he's very green for a 5-year-old. He really has to come good on the big stage at Ascot. And of course, he's got last year's winner, Aspura, to beat this time. And also, I think regional as well. What do you reckon?
Well, just on American Affair, I mean, GM Jungle coming out and winning at
Boosted the
Epsom
form.
is a lovely boost. I mean, that's a horse he's beat 2 or 3 times
Yeah,
in the last year or so. So that one winning at Epsom was a great bonus. And you were talking about the pace angle there, Jim. He's got regional on one side and Frost at Dawn on the other, who'll
yeah,
go forward. And I think that will just give him a lovely tone to the race. And Mulrennan did get in a bit of trouble at Haydock the last time. He had to switch. He was in and out, whatever. I think if he can just sit in between those two, just sit in behind and then pounce late, I think the pace setup of this race might suit
yeah,
American Fair. I would also give regional a chance. Second behind Afsura last year. Big Evs was behind them, who obviously went on to win at York, win at Newmarket July meeting, was it?
yeah, yeah,
And then he made his seasonal comeback at Maidan over 6 furlongs in April, beat a short head in a Group 1. So he's done 17. He was 15 last year when he was second, so 17 should be fine. The winner actually came out of 17 last year, so I think he'll go to the front, and I
yeah.
think he might be hard to catch. But American Affair will just be sitting in behind him and possibly pouncing late.
Well, I'm hoping so, like you. And I mean, you could nominate 10 dangers here. It's such a wide open race with quite a few potential improvers as well, including the French horse Montaille, which I don't think is out of this at all with Christian De Muro on board. But I'll be having my saving pound on regional, but each way American Affair.
And then the race for the jumps trainers, the Ascot Stakes. over 2.5. What do you? I mean, this is Willie Mullins' race. It has been pretty much in the last few years. I mean, he's won 4 of the last 13. He's been second 4 times as well. So I mean, the last 13 years he's been first or second 8 times.
Yeah,
So I mean, he's got two, one William Buick's riding. They're two out of six. Win at the Royal Meeting. That's Poneros, the Triumph winner, and then Ryan Moore as well rides one Reaching High. Which if you
yeah,
like this
for the king, yeah.
Yeah, if you like this ex Michael Stout angle, would have to come into play as well. So they've had 7 wins when they combine at Royal Ascot since 2012. So I think possibly don't overcomplicate it too much. Whatever
Yeah.
Willie Mullins runs in this race is going to run a huge race, I would think.
Yeah, I would have thought so, Robert. I think if you're still in the play spot, race five, the 5 o'clock, and you've got the two Willie Mullins horses on side, you're pretty hopeful you're going to get one of them in the four, aren't you? Especially with a big field over 2.5 miles. So I certainly wouldn't rule either of those out. I'm not very big on anything huge here, but the one I do fancy and the one I will back is East India Dock. You mentioned the jump trainers. Well, James Owen has jumps and flat, and he's really having a fantastic time at the moment. Everything is there or thereabouts. He's got James Doyle on this East India Dock. It's been in smart form under both codes. 4-year-old. I think he's reasonably well handicapped. I mean, you look at 9 stone 8, just £4 off the top weight, and you think, oh, that's a hefty burden. But I don't think he's too harshly handicapped at all in this race. And at the odds, 7-8 to 1, East India Dock will do for me. But I respect your point about the Mullins horses. Get them in your play spot.
Yeah, and I mean, one I would maybe mention in this race for another jump trainer, Henry de Bromhead, is Ascending,
Yeah,
who probably didn't do as well as they expected when they sent him hurdling, but they've put him back over the flat. He's won the last 2 under Billy Lee, who we all know is a fantastic jockey. And Henry actually sent one over to win in the flat at Sandown on Saturday with Town and Country. So the yard's in form. He can train them on the flat. I mean, he won the Ebor last year as well. So I think at 20 to 1, Ascending's one that I'm going to keep on side in that race as well.
yeah, you're quite right. And just to mention the possibility that the top hats could be coming off for an Irish trained winner for the King on Reaching High. So let's just sit back and see if that happens. Fascinating.
And then moving on to Wilford, I'm going to have to stick with the Curial Secret, who
Yeah,
did so well for us at Epsom. I mean, absolutely routed the field that day. Drifted from 14s to 28s. Richard Fahey said he was standing before the race, looking at the odds go out and out and out, and thinking, "What have I done here? I must be looking at this race completely wrong."
yeah,
This race has been a target for him. He said he took him there just to get a run into him.
yeah.
Obviously, performed much better than everybody expected. He's been hyped up in the ratings for that. He's up to 112, which this race puts you pretty much bang there. That's round about the rating which you win this off. You have to be
Yeah.
rated about that high. So I can't abandon him. He was so impressive at Epsom. Probably won't get away in the lead the way he did at Epsom down the hill and whatever, but that'll not be that should be a too much of a problem to him. I think he's rock solid here. Have you got any in the Wilford or we move on?
No, I really do like a Curial Secret. I'm right with you there. Who'll be in my play spot? And we can't forget you tipped that one up and it came in at 28 to 1. So let's hope for more of the same tomorrow. But what about the Copper Horse to round off the day?
Again, the Mullins and Moore angle, they've won the last 2 run-ins of this race. So they try it this time with Charles, which won a maiden hurdle after coming over from France, beating out of sight in the Triumph, which he seemed to run all these juveniles that he bought from France in the Triumph just to get a
Yeah,
run into them. So you have to respect whatever Willie Mullins runs in this race as well. But I thought Caballo de Mar was interested in this, and we'll get a line on him through East India Dock and
we
Manxman
will.
in the Ascot Stakes. So I mean, his only defeat this season has become when he was drawn wide at Chester. Lost to East India Dock that day. But if your East India Dock runs well, then I think Caballo de Mar will probably be one worth following in the Copper Horse Handicap.
Yeah, I think you're right there. I'll be watching the Ascot Stakes to see how that form pans out and might have a wee investment once we get to that Copper Horse. But no selection for me at the moment as we move on to day 2. Remember, we'll be on later in the week looking at the other 3 days. But day 2 tomorrow, we get underway with the Queen Mary Stakes, which of course is a 5 furlong dash for the 2-year-old fillies. And any number of possibilities here. There really are. But the one I like, and I'm not saying I'm going to jump on it because the odds are going to be short. Zelena for Carol Burke and James Doyle again, Wathnan colours again. and it's a Memas filly. She absolutely bolted up at Nottingham, nominated for the Queen Mary straight after that. And I'm nominating that one on the basis that I haven't seen anything quicker. So that's the way I'm approaching this at the moment. I doubt the ground's going to change, so I'm pretty sure I'll be with Zelena. But if it's too short, it'll just be in the play spot.
And then the Queen's Vase over a mile six. I thought Calmer's for Billy Lee again, a jockey
Yeah,
that I really like. Won a listed race really impressively at Navan last time out. Step up and trip here again. Looks like it'll be absolutely perfect for it. The only thing is, good to firm ground is going to be an unknown. I'm not quite sure how it'll handle
yeah,
quicker ground, but I mean, it'll be one that'll be ridden up with the pace, coming out of stall four, I think it is. Billy Lee, a great booking for it. He's won twice, I think, on the horse. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not getting in front of me here just now, but
no worries.
I just thought Calmer's was one to have on your side in that race.
Yeah, very much one to have a look at for Paddy Twomey and Billy Lee. Paddy's horse is running absolutely terrific form at the moment, and he's a real target trainer.
Mm.
Once he decides where a horse is going, that tends to be where it turns up. And that thing you've mentioned, Karma's great chance. One I would throw in there without selecting it would be Rahib for Roger Varian. Sylvester de Souza, I think, is going to ride this one. And Roger's been very, very keen on this one, just in a few interviews on the build-up to Royal Ascot. Goes for the Queen's Vase. He's got a few seconds to his name, which immediately raises questions. But just to mention the fact that Varian fancies that a little bit, so we might have one to stick in the play spot there as well. But I take your point fully about Paddy Twomey and Carmers.
Yeah, I just think I mean, it's only a furlong it's stepping up, but the further the race went at Navan, the better he looked, and he
Yeah,
just was pulling away for them as much as he could. So I just think that slight step up and trip just maybe unlock a wee bit more improvement out of him.
yeah,
And then the Duke of Cambridge, Jim,
yeah.
what do you fancy
Quite
there?
quite fancy Fallen Angel here. Hasn't really done what was expected of her since she won the Irish 1,000 guineas. But Carl Burke, again, you got to follow what these trainers are saying on the build up to the race, and he has been quietly confident about Fallen Angel's chances. What we didn't know until the declarations on Monday morning was that she was going to wear cheek pieces for the first time, which I think is a fascinating angle into this because she's got classic winning form, cheek pieces on for the first time. James Doyle in the saddle. I think if she's within £7 of her best, I think she could win this. And I think Carl Burke thinks he's got her back. So Fallen Angel for me, but you might have a case for Running Lion.
Well, just watching the race back from last year, it was just hugely impressive. Tracking
Last year's
across,
winner, of course. Yeah,
yeah,
sorry.
tracking across with stall 11 to get in front, and nothing could get near her. I just, I actually think the pace angle might be Fallen Angel against Running Lion
Yeah,
up front, and the slight concern is you maybe take each other on and cut each other's throats. But I just think if you go back and watch that race last year, it just won so easily.
yeah. No, it's a fair
And
point.
yeah, and I wouldn't read too much into its form this year either. Its form last year before Ascot was absolutely stinking as well. So
Yeah.
maybe just put a line through it. The horse will be primed to come back and win this race. So I think Fallen Angel, Running Lion will both be up at the head of things. Hopefully not cutting each other's throat. Hopefully we can have the 1-2, Jim.
I think we'll be there or thereabouts, and fingers crossed we are because we want to be in pocket ahead of the Prince of Wales, £1 million Prince of Wales Stakes, a mile and a quarter, always one of the highlights of the meeting. Won last year by Auguste Rodin, of course, for Aidan O'Brien, and he's got the favourite again this time with Los Angeles, very topical at the moment if you're following the political scene in America. Ombudsman, I know you fancy, you can make that case in a moment, but I really, really like See the Fire for Andrew Balding and Oisin Murphy. I thought she was hugely impressive at York. Now, just because they win 10, 12 lengths doesn't mean to say they're superstars because it was just the way the race panned out. But she did look a bit special. And I know they were disappointed with her at Sandown before that. So I think the fact that they're tipping her in here, she's only filly in against the boys, getting the £3 allowance. And I had a look at the prices. They're going 9-4 Los Angeles, 7-2 Anmat, which you wouldn't rule out, 9-2 Map of Stars for the French. That's James Doyle on the Graffard horse Map of Stars. 13-2 See the Fire. So we're just into each way territory there. I think See the Fire might just be good enough to win.
Yeah, I quite like Ombudsman. I mean, it's only ever been beaten once. That was in the Brigadier Gerard just a few weeks ago, which Almacam, who won the race had had the benefit of a run. So I would just
Yeah.
hope that this horse would come on for having its seasonal debut. So it's one on good to fun before as well. That's the thing with Los Angeles. Does Los Angeles want to go back and trip on this kind of ground? That was the one nagging doubt I've got about Los
Yeah.
Angeles. Otherwise, Los Angeles deserves to be favourite. It's got Ryan Moore on its back. You can see why it's favourite. But I just wonder, does it want to go back to 10 furlongs on rattling quick ground?
Yeah, and the other thing about that angle, I thought if the ground had been slightly softer and White Birch had run, I think White Birch would be strongly fancied to beat Los Angeles. I really do. So I'm certainly not rubbishing Los Angeles. A fantastic horse, 4-year-old at the peak of his form. But I just think at the price, see the fire. We haven't seen the best of her yet. She's getting the allowances. We know she's banging form. I think they paid a supplementary, so I think she's the one to be on for me.
And then a nice easy one just to finish us up on Wednesday, Jim. The Royal Hunt Cup. What do you fancy there?
Well, interesting one. I mean, again, you can make a case for quite a few. I know that the Kevin Ryan team think High Royal has a very good chance. Billy Loughnane, I think, is on that. I didn't double check that. I apologise before I came on. But the one I fancied for a while here, and I'm afraid it's been found in the market, so any chance of a decent price is gone. And that is the Liffey. It's trained by Joseph O'Brien. It was formerly trained by his dad, Aidan. It's going to be ridden by Ryan Moore because it is a Coolmore Syndicate horse, even though it's not one of the main syndicates, and it's trained by Joseph. Fourth in a listed race at Naas, laid out for this, in off 98, 6-1. Thank you very much.
Well, that was nice and easy, Jim. What I
But
would
then
really,
again, what's actually going to win?
well, I mean, the case for my cloud I actually did the race this morning without looking at prices, and then came up with my cloud and went and saw it was favourite, and my heart sank.
Yeah,
So the case for that's obvious. One at Newbury and Ascot, both times in fast ground, highly progressive. Wouldn't be a surprise if that wins off a £5 higher mark. 11-2. Just whether you want to back 11-2 in this race. The other one I thought was Fox's Legacy,
yeah,
which on good to firm ground won by a distance at Salisbury last year. Won at Newmarket. Won a heritage handicap at Newmarket last time out. And I just think he looks progressive as well. So my cloud, Fox's Legacy would be the two I'm interested in at the moment. But the other thing is, by the time you get to the Wednesday, you'll hopefully have a better idea of where you want to be in the draw, don't you? That's
yeah.
the thing we Ascot and these huge cavalry charges.
Yeah, and it was interesting that Roger Varian was asked on Monday morning what the tactics would be for my cloud, and he said, "We've just got the declarations. We'll have a look at the draw and we'll decide on Wednesday morning once we've seen how Tuesday goes." So
Yeah.
the trainers are thinking the same way as us. They don't know what the tactics are 2 days in advance. So good luck with that, my cloud. I mean, I can see the case for that. Fox Legacy, you couldn't argue with that either. Andrew Balding. The Liffey's the one for me, and the one I think if you can get a bet for top six, top seven. Bullet Point, I don't think you'll keep him out the top six or top seven. So if the prices go down to 6, 7, and maybe even Skybet might go daft and go 8, then Bullet Point to small each way might be the one to be on. But the Liffey is the one for me. So fascinating couple of days coming up. And just one point I meant to mention about Tuesday, which I'm grateful to Pat Cooney of 365 for pointing out. 6 of Ryan Moore's 7 rides on Tuesday are coming from stall 1, which is absolutely amazing. I don't know, some races that'll be a benefit, some races it'll be against them, but 6 of his 7 mounts coming from stall 1. Pat Cooney pointing that out this morning. So we'll see how that all pans out. But what a great couple of days to get started. And we'll be back later in the week, Robert.
Yeah, just a general point, Jim, just before we go. On the draw at Ascot, you do have to be versatile with your punting at this meeting, don't you?
Yeah.
Because these big cavalry charges, there might be a bias in the high numbers, there might be a bias in the low number. There's never really a fixed sort of plan in this, is
Especially,
there?
especially on that straight course for the Hunt
Yeah.
Cup. I think we'll get a little bit of a clue on Tuesday before Wednesday, but come Hunt Cup day, with that field right across the width of the track, if you've got one on one side, one on the other, it might help. If you've got one right down the middle, then the jockey hopefully is clever enough to go where the pace is, and that's how it pans out. But no, fascinating. You got to keep your wits about you.
And then Chris Stickles will put water on it and the draw will be
Probably.
the polar opposite the following day. So
Exactly.
thanks, folks. Good luck with your bets.
Thanks very much, Robert. Thanks, everybody.